Welcome back to another episode of the Arc Switch Survival Guide. Today I am going to show you one of the biggest reasons I chose this plateau for my main base location, and that is its close proximity to Metal Mountain, which is one of the best places to get metal in the southern side of the map. And I'll show you how to use an Argent Avis and Ankylosaur team really effectively to get tons of metal really quickly and get it right back to our base where we can use it for all kinds of good stuff. So we are going to use the Argent Avis's mobility to carry the Ankylosaur right to the peak where all the best metal deposits are, and we will use the extreme destructive harvesting power of the Ankylosaur to get ridiculous amounts of metal and crystal super fast, and then load it back up and carry it back to our base. Also, since we are going to use a lot of wood for smelting all this metal we're gathering, if you watch this video until the end, I will show you how to use an Argent Avis and Beaver team to get crazy amounts of wood from the trees nearby, even faster than you could on foot. So be sure to watch this whole episode. It's going to be loaded with all kinds of helpful gathering tricks. So before I go all the way over to Metal Mountain, I want to extend my landing pad on the back porch because it's pretty small, it's just 2 by 2, and I want a little bit more space so I'm not too cramped and I don't accidentally drop my Ankylosaur off the edge of the cliff. He'd probably be fine, it's water underneath there, but just in case I'd like to make this porch a little bit bigger and more user-friendly. So let's go ahead and add a couple of stone ceilings here. And I can't go any further out over the cliff because you can only go 2 ceilings out from any stone foundation that's attached to the ground. But that should be a big enough porch to land on pretty comfortably, and it's been really nice having this spot on the other side of my base where I can just land my Argent and unload tons of material right next to the forge and smithy. So I designed this base with that in mind, and a big reason why I put my base on this plateau in the first place is it's right across the river from Metal Mountain, which is notoriously one of the best spots to get metal on the south of the island. I really like living in the south, and this place is just loaded with metal deposits all over this mountain. It'll take a while to gather all the metal, but with my crazy high melee damage on my Ankylosaur, just a couple nodes can give me a couple thousand metal, so it's really helpful, especially with these rich metal deposits. Now, before I bring my Ankylosaur over, I am scouting all over these slopes to see what kind of dangerous dinos are here, because it's really rare to come up here without at least a couple raptors, maybe some carnosaurs, or even allosaurs running around up here. And usually they're pretty dangerous carnivores, but for some reason I'm not seeing anything dangerous up here on this slope, which is great. I think I'll take this chance to run over here real quick. Now, the very top of the mountain is a lot safer because a lot of the slopes are just slightly too steep for carnivores to climb. So I prefer to stay on the very top. It's actually getting to the top that's usually where people end up dying. So along these slopes down here, oh, there's a Tapehara in the background. You know, I've got a bit of a Tapehara problem. I have way too many Tapeharas, but I just want to see what level this guy is, just for the heck of it. If it's like a 200, I might give it a shot. But I've got my dinosaur difficulty down again, so it should be a reasonably low level. I adjust my difficulty settings up and down depending on whether I want to tame something or whether I want to just make it reasonably easy to do whatever I'm doing. Looks like there's, let's see, level 13. Yep, not interested. Okay. I need to just say no to that Tapehara. I've got too many Tapeharas already. I'll show you in a second. My breeding program is going very well, and I'm getting overrun by Tapeharas. But it is great to have a ton of females laying lots of Tapehara eggs because they are great for advanced kibbles, and I can use lots of those to tame lots of really good dinos. So, quick tip, if you want to pick up a dinosaur, if you land right next to it and then hit the jump button and the left trigger really fast while you're pointing your camera upwards, it's real easy to grab a dinosaur and then fly straight up without running it into the ground. And that's usually the best way to pick up dinos if you're picking up something like an ankylosaur. So while I've got a nice clear area and no dangerous predators, I'm just going to fly this guy straight over here, and you can see how ridiculously fast this trip is because it's really quick to just fly this guy up to this mountain. I love having my base where it is. Now you don't want to actually build on Metal Mountain because any foundations will block the metal from respawning for a pretty good distance. So you could build way down the slope, maybe even close to the river. My first game, I actually had my main base just down the river from this spot, but it will block all the nearby metal nodes, and it's a lot easier for me to live on a nice, secure plateau, which is where I am. So this ankylosaur can just demolish these rich metal nodes, and it's getting so much metal from these. Like, check that out, 230 metal from just one rich metal node. And the reason for that is my ankylosaur has like, I don't know, it's something like 700 or 800 melee damage. And I've also got resource gathering on double just to make this game a lot less grindy while I show all of you guys how to do all this stuff. Now I'm also picking up a lot of crystal because I plan to make a greenhouse on top of my base at some point. Not sure how long it'll take to get enough crystal to do that, but for now I'm just going to hoard all of the crystal I can get my hands on. Now, it's more efficient as far as weight capacity to put the crystal on the Argent Avis because it reduces the weight of the crystal by 50%. It also reduces the weight of metal by 50%. Now, the Ankylosaur reduces metal weight by 75%, so it's even more weight efficient to have the metal on the Ankylosaur's inventory. But the Ankylosaur cannot carry very much weight, so I'm getting full and unable to move pretty quickly with the Ankylosaur, whereas the Argent Avis has about 1,000 weight because it's super high level, and it also reduces the weight by 50%, so it can carry an effective 2,000 pounds of metal before it really runs overweight. Now, I do want to be careful that I don't get the Argent too close to overweight, because a really nasty predator could show up at any point, and I need to be able to quickly jump on the Argent and most likely carry the predator off of a cliff somewhere. My favorite way to deal with nasty dinos is to just pick them up and drop them someplace they won't bother me, which is pretty effective for most things that are smaller than a Carnotaur. Now, if you get attacked by something large while you're doing this, just attack it and get it to chase you away from your Ankylosaur. Then you can swoop back in, pick up the Ankylosaur, and carry it away to safety. As long as you're up in the air, nothing really dangerous around here can get to you. So I think I'm probably getting close to overweight, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up my Ankylosaur. And if you look on the top right of my screen, I'm getting pretty close to overweight. So I think I'll take one more metal node before I head back, and I'm going to see if I can unload any more material that I don't need off of my Ankylosaur, because he picks up a lot of stone while he's harvesting metal nodes. Usually I'll try to keep the stone and use it for building materials, but for now I'm going to hit the left trigger to just drop all of the stone off of his inventory, because I've still got a lot of boulders near my base that need to be picked up. So I'm going to once again jump on the ground and use left trigger to pick up my Ankylosaur. And I think I see one more good rich metal node right here. Perfect. You can tell the rich ones because they're solid gold color, whereas the other ones are striped and they have a lot less metal in the other nodes. So there we go. One last hit from that rich metal node, and I think that will just about fill us up. I'm going to drop the stone one more time and see if I've got enough weight to actually carry this guy home. I always hate to drop metal and leave it if I get overweight, but you gotta do what you gotta do, and you do not want to be stranded on Metal Mountain. So it looks like this is just perfect. Now another thing you've got to keep in mind is the closer your Argent gets to overweight, the slower it's going to fly and the more stamina it takes to sprint while you're flying. So I've still got a decent amount of weight capacity on this guy, but you can see I'm already using up my stamina really fast from carrying all this weight. So keep that in mind anytime you're using an Argent Avis, and it's actually really helpful if you've got more than one Argent. You can fly a couple of them over, grab the metal, and load them all up and use them as pack mules that can fly, which is very effective. So I'm just going to land here, and whoa, where are you going there, buddy? Do not walk off that cliff. That was pretty close. Okay. Looks like it was a good thing I extended this porch, because right where he's standing, he would have fallen off the cliff into the water. And there's some dangerous stuff that goes down there, so I'm glad I didn't have to just nosedive off a cliff to save my Ankylosaur. So I built this base so that wherever my dinos land on the porch, I can just pull everything onto my inventory, open up my inventory, and then use the left trigger to throw the packages into the middle here. And from here, I can pick up the packages and get close enough to the forges to actually drop the metal in. So it's a pretty effective and efficient way to do that. If I wanted to be even more efficient, I could pick it up, drop it in the fabricator, and then bring it to wherever it needs to go. I've also got my smithy with a lot of supplies here, and it's got room to put a lot of supplies, and I've got some storage units over next to that. So basically this is my whole workshop, and it's all designed so I can easily land right here, unload a whole bunch of stuff, and then drop it right into the forges and get smelting. Now another cool effective thing I can do is if I'm actually riding on the Argent, which I don't normally do indoors, but he's a little shorter and I can barely fit, I can use the left trigger from his inventory to throw everything into parcels on the ground. You can only carry so much over your limit if you're picking it up from his inventory, but if you throw the parcels on the ground, you can carry an infinite amount of weight. And if you want to do it this way, you can actually chuck a pile of parcels onto the ground, pick them all up, and then throw them again a few more feet, and kind of inch your way across your base if you have to do that. But carrying metal is really heavy, and you can only carry like a stack at a time, so this will actually save us a whole lot of time to do it this way. So as you can see, that's a very efficient and effective way to get tons of metal. It took about 5 minutes to get almost 1,300 metal back to my base, if you don't count my scouting run where I just made sure that the mountain was safe. So if I did this a few more times, I could have more metal than I could process, and it would take no time at all. So now I'll carry my Ankylosaur back to the main yard, and I'm going to grab a bunch of wood since we're just about out, and I'm going to be smelting a lot of metal. So now that we've got tons of metal, I'm going to need a lot of wood in order to smelt it, and I'm actually running out of wood. So I've cut down most of the trees that I want to remove around my plateau, but I like keeping some for the decoration. So I'm going to fly to another spot that's going to be safe and see if I can cut down some other trees. Actually, I want to clear that tree out. I want this path to be nice and clear so I can make sure that any of my dinosaurs are safe when they're heading up to the plateau. So I'm kind of specifically clearing out just the trees I don't want, and keeping landscaping in mind as I'm clearing out all the vegetation and rocks around this area. Because a lot of this stuff is not going to respawn because I've got a lot of foundations down. So I think I'll clear these guys out and keep this jungle area pretty clear that's near my base. That way I can see if anything real dangerous is coming. So now after just 2 trees, I've got a few hundred wood because my beaver has crazy high melee damage, but it does not have very much weight. So I'm actually typing in WOO to select all the wood and transferring it to my Argent's inventory. And by doing that, we can carry almost 2,000 weight worth of wood because of the weight reduction that the Argent has. So I could just keep gathering crazy amounts of wood that way, but it only took a couple minutes to grab as much as we're going to need for a long time. So I'll just drop the beaver down here, and I'm going to make sure that I close the back door to make sure that wild snail that I've got roaming around in my base does not climb out the window, because I want to keep that guy as long as I can. He'll despawn eventually, but he's very helpful right now. So there we go. Now, one way you can open a door is if you stand, well, usually that works. If you stand next to a door, close it, and then you don't move while you're opening it, usually you can make the door pass right through you as long as you're standing still. But for now, I'm just going to walk right through my base with my Argent. I'm breaking the no dinosaurs in the house policy, but I pulled up his inventory with square and then used the left trigger to dump all of it onto the floor. And now I'll just walk out the front door with my Argent. Now, I usually skip this part in my videos where I'm just managing my inventory, but it's probably good for you guys to see this and how quickly you can move stuff around just by using that search box and then the arrows which say move all. So I'm going to grab some wood and drop it in the forges and make sure that both forges have plenty of wood, and I'm going to just leave those running for a very long time because there's so much metal to smelt. Hey, free Achatina paste. I've got a snail sitting on the ceiling, there he is, and he just constantly drops free cementing paste every couple of minutes. It's really helpful, and every minute he puts another cementing paste in his shell. So these adolescent tapeharas are growing really fast. They're already halfway to adulthood, which is great. So I'm going to get them outside because they're getting a little bit too big to fit in the house, and they're also kind of glitching through the floor. And any of you parents know you definitely don't want your baby to fall through the floor. That's just weird and should never happen. So maybe if you're on The Incredibles, I don't know. So I'm going to try to get these guys to follow me out too. Actually, looks like everybody is an adolescent. They are growing up so fast. That's crazy. Even my little Ankylosaur is now ready to move out. So are you stuck there? Looks like they're both moving. Okay. Try to get both of them to follow now. I really like all the orange that one has. Okay, got a duck underneath this one, and now I think we can do this. Wow, that was way more awkward than it should have been. Okay, got all the tapeharas outside, and that one is looking pretty cool with all the orange on it. I think it actually has an orange color mutation. So, last thing is to get this Ankylosaur outside, and then we will wrap this up. And he's not listening to me, but hopefully he'll move in a second. You coming? What is he doing? This Ankylosaur was kind of a failure for stats, but it looks like it didn't turn out too well in the intelligence department either. Why did it run that way? Oh my gosh, okay. Well, we'll have to give this one special care. I'm shaking my head. So, that is how you gather crazy amounts of metal and wood. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please drop a like on this video and drop a comment if you have any great suggestions and tips for other people, or if you have any questions. I always love fielding your questions and comments. Also, if you don't mind subscribing to this channel if you have not yet already, and ring that bell for notifications, it will tell you when the next helpful ARK guide comes out. And if you want to do me a favor, I've got a link in the description to the new YouTube channel that my wife and I are doing, the Console Co-op Couple, where we play console games together, and I'm really trying to get that off the ground, so if you can subscribe over there, I would greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching this video from the ARK Survival Guide. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please like this video and subscribe to our channel so we can bring you more great guides like this one. ARK is an amazing game, but there is so much to learn before you can really enjoy it. We are dedicated to bringing you high-quality guides, tutorials, and Let's Play videos that are fun, helpful, clean, and suitable for the entire family. There's a tutorial in this series for everything we have done so far in this video. Check out these playlists for more episodes from this series and other guides to help you enjoy your journey on ARK.